Welcome in to another episode of my Dynasty Fantasy Football YouTube channel. Today I'm breaking down players you can dump off your Dynasty rosters. Make sure to like, comment, and most importantly, subscribe if you haven't. Only 40% of the viewers over the last week are subscribed. So I'm really asking that other 60% to hit the subscribe button. Let's jump into our first player. So, Alec Pierce. Now, I have seen Alec Pierce on a lot of Dynasty rosters, and I do wonder what he's doing there. So let's look at what he's done in his career. In 2022 as a rookie, 41 catches, 593 yards, 2 touchdowns, 2.6 catches, and 37.1 yards a game. He was so great that after that year, they drafted Josh Downs in the 3rd round. Then, with Downs, Pittman, and Pierce all on the roster, he regressed in 2023. 32 catches, 514 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1.9 catches, and 2.6 yards a game, serving as a deep threat, but not really relevant at all. Now, why can you get rid of Alec Pierce? He's not it. The Colts added a slot wide receiver last year. Then this year, they directly replaced him with A.D. Mitchell and extended Michael Pittman. So I don't see what the point of Alec Pierce is. Josh Downs was a good slot wide receiver last year. Michael Pittman is their alpha. Adonai Mitchell is going to be their new deep threat. I don't know what Alec Pierce is going to do. Andy Richardson is not even leading a pass-heavy offense. Even if there are injuries, you're not going to want Alec Pierce. So you can just cut him. You can cut him, pick up a high upside running back of some kind. There's just no need to hang on to Alec Pierce. Next up, Jamaal Williams. Now, we all remember that Jamaal Williams had that one magic season for the Lions. It was only 2 years ago. But that was it. That was it. Because last year, oh boy, was it bad. 106 carries, a lot of volume. And despite having 106 carries, he had a measly 306 yards. And no, it wasn't because he was getting all these touchdowns at the goal line, because he just had 1 touchdown, 2.9 yards a carry. 18 catches, and only achieved a miserable 62 yards on those 18 catches. He was awful. Why can you cut him? He was awful last year. He's already 29 years old. Literally, if the Saints, it costs the Saints money to cut Jamaal Williams. It would cost them salary cap because they signed into that idiotic contract last year. They would have cut him already if it weren't just cheaper to keep him. So, yeah, I have no interest in Jamaal Williams. He's ancient. He's finished. Get rid of him. Next up, Darren Waller. It's interesting. Why is he in this video? Why can you drop Darren? Why can you drop Darren Waller? He's retired. I can't get started on how many retired players I still see on Dynasty rosters. Still, I have seen Andrew Luck, not way too recently, on Dynasty rosters. I still see Tom Brady on Dynasty rosters. We got to work on that bottom of our roster. You never know when you're going to find a Phillip Lindsay, a James Robinson off waivers. Darren Waller himself off waivers was someone you could have picked up. So don't be lazy. Make moves. Do not keep retired players on the roster forever. Don't do that. Patreon promo. So if you like the YouTube, you should sign up for the Patreon. You get my rankings, access to the Discord, and the ability to ask in advance questions for these YouTube videos. Tiers begin at just $6 a month, and you get to see my best fantasy football content. And I will be honest, my voice is, I don't know if you can hear it. It hurts to me. I don't know if it comes across, but it is struggling. Like, it's just hard to do these videos at the rate that I'm doing them. But the Patreon content is 24/7, 365 days a year. And as always, independent content requires independent support. For me to even do these YouTube videos, there's a lot of costs involved. And everyone who signs up for the Patreon helps support those costs and helps keep this YouTube channel going. And, as I mentioned on the last video, I mention all the time, The Patreon is the main product, not the YouTube. The Patreon is why the YouTube exists, not the other way around. If I left the industry, the Patreon would continue to exist and the YouTube wouldn't. Just putting it in the most stark terms. So, hopefully there's more support. Because it's been a rough year. I'm not gonna lie. And I wouldn't keep bringing it up if it were getting better. So, yeah, I'm just hoping that changes. Oh, and also my voice returns back to normal. All right. Israel Abanikanda, next player. So, in 2023, he sat behind Dalvin Cook and Michael Carter as backup to Breece Hall. He really didn't do anything. 22 carries for 70 yards, 3.2 yards carry, 7 catches and 43 yards through the air. Now, I thought the Jets might have actually kind of liked what they saw. They didn't. They drafted not one, but 2 replacements in Braylon Allen and Isaiah Davis. Braylon Allen is already the backup. He's the RB2. That's not a question. The question is who's the RB3 between Abanikanda and Isaiah Davis. Both have 5th-round draft capital. I think from what I'm hearing that Isaiah Davis is going to win the RB3 job and Abanikanda is cut. With Breece Hall on the roster, the Jets do not need to keep 4 halfbacks. They are not going to keep 4 halfbacks on the 53-man roster. They'll probably keep 1 on the practice squad, but if Abanikanda can't even make the 53-man roster, we don't need him. I love the prospect, actually, as coming into the NFL. Abanikanda was someone I liked, but sometimes it just doesn't happen. And it sucks. Speaking of a prospect I liked, Jalen Tolbert. I liked Jalen Tolbert coming into the NFL. I had a lot of hope for him. I thought that he would do well. He has not. In 2022, he had 2 catches for 12 yards. He was a healthy scratch in multiple games. He did nothing. Nothing. Not even Cedric Tillman, nothing, who was also a 3rd-round pick and was bad. He still had like 30-something catches. He played high snap shares. Tolbert literally did nothing. And then in 2023, last year, 22 catches, 268 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Why you can drop Jalen Tolbert? Why is he still rostered? I don't get it. I'd rather take a shot on the unknown Ryan Flournoy than the known, irrelevant Jalen Tolbert. Not that I want either of them. These types of bad wide receivers are the worst players you can stash in Dynasty. Plus, it's not like Jalen Tolbert is 23. He's 25 already. He came into the NFL as a 23-year-old rookie with 3rd-round draft capital. He did nothing. And then at 24, in his 2nd year, he did nothing. Those types of players never hit. He would be the first one. He would be the first one to be this awful with the high draft capital that says you should be involved early, flop this badly, and then become good. It never happens. Never, ever. So I don't care what they say about him being good in camp, whatever. You don't need him. You don't need him. There are so many running backs I'd rather roster over Jalen Tolbert. So don't waste your time. Now, we're going to have a little bit of shorter video today, but I'm going to cover a little piece of news that dropped. And I think there's a lot going on with this, so we'll just jump into it. Oh, Trevor Lawrence extension dropped recently. 5 years, $275 million, $200 million guaranteed, added to his current deal, which runs through 2030. The contract probably locks Lawrence in through 27 at a bare minimum, likely even longer with the high guarantees, more like 2028. So, Trevor Lawrence, after this extension, is an unquestioned franchise quarterback who still turns 25 he's not even 25 yet. Turns 25 in October. But for Dynasty, if you asked people who drafted Trevor Lawrence 101, who tanked a whole season for Trevor Lawrence, who traded away multiple firsts or whatever for Trevor Lawrence, they're probably disappointed, right? I mean, they're probably disappointed. He has not lived up for fantasy or really for real life to the high-end outcome range that anyone wanted. He hasn't done it. But it's hard. Can you take him in the early 2nd round of startups? Does he have the upside for that? But he's a quarterback in Superflex with like 5 6 guaranteed years as a starter. I mean, these types of extensions, the quarterbacks always see them. So how do you let a quarterback with that many guaranteed years slip much further? For me, I moved him up one spot just because this is a massive extension. I really didn't think, Trevor Lawrence really worth it? I don't know. But he got it. He got the money. We know that the Jaguars are trying to put good weapons around him. And a lot of the value in Superflex leagues at quarterback is on safety. It's a young quarterback. He's still 24. He is only a year older than Jaden Daniels, who hasn't played in the NFL at all. These young quarterbacks with massive contracts are the safest assets you can have. You know that they're young. You know that they're going to get the money. They're going to play all of these years. And then when the contract is over, they're not even going to be 30. I mean, in Lawrence's case, he'll be 30 if he plays the whole contract. But that's 7 more years. I mean, I'm not worrying about 7 years from now. So, yeah, I am still in on Trevor Lawrence. I don't know if he's going to be a buy now. The time to buy was before he got the extension, but I still like him. Now, if you liked the video, make sure to drop a like and leave a comment with your thoughts. Of course, the best way to support the YouTube channel directly is to subscribe. Remember, only 40% of people watching my content in the past week are subscribed. If you're a part of that other 60%, hit that red subscribe button, please. And if you want to be notified about all my content, hit the notifications bell so you can get those notifications. Of course, if you want my best fantasy football advice, it's available on the Patreon. Dynasty, redraft, rookie, start sit, and more. And every sign up on there helps support my independent content. But once again, I want to thank everyone for watching, bearing with me with the rough voice that I'm dealing with today. And I will see you all later.